Welcome to Lay in the Wood. I'm JT the Brick, the Hall of Famer Rod Woodson, and we're ready to go. Week 9 of the NFL schedule coming off the NFL trade deadline. Yeah. I loved it. There was a lot of trades. There were some big ones. And I think this is going to be the evolution of the trade deadline. Younger GMs, coaches on the hot seat. Let's go. Let's get some trades.
Yeah, I mean, most of the trades happened from first-year coaches, right? Because they looked at it, they came in and said, hey, like, you got the last guy fired. You're not getting me fired, too. You know, but my one question is for the Jets. You get rid of your 2 best players to get 2 good players in the future. So that would tell me they got to give Aaron Glenn some love. Mm-hmm. They got to give him a longer leeway and a longer time frame to get this thing turned around. I know Aaron Glenn is looking at it saying, okay, well, Dan Campbell, he did it in Detroit. He came in, turned it around, had a really good draft his first year into it, and they kind of moved from there. After the first year, kind of struggled, but after that, it's been really good football. But the key to that, they didn't draft a quarterback. They traded for a quarterback, right? They got Jaire Goff through a trade, not through the draft. So the question is, are they going to get a young quarterback? The Jets get a young quarterback next year in the draft? Or are they going to trade for a guy? There's not that many great quarterbacks in the National Football League to trade some picks for.
What I think is interesting, we said this about Brian Daboll. The only way Brian Daboll would keep his job is to start Jackson Dart. Yep. He did. It worked well for about a week. And I think that ship has sailed. I don't think Daboll is going to keep his job. The best thing that happened to Aaron Glenn was they moved Sauce and Quinnen Williams. Now he can go to the media and say, look, we got rid of the 2 best players. Now get off my back. Get off my back. Give me a year and a half to get my players in here.
I think it's a 2-year window, right? Okay. So obviously this year, it is what it is, right? They haven't played well. They've competed in some games, but they haven't played well. So you get rid of your best players on defense. And I don't know if he looked at it and said, listen, Sauce, I know you've been all pro and all that, and you one of the best corners in the league. You don't fit my scheme. Or in his head, I need these picks. This better off of getting me 2 more first-round picks, and you going somewhere else, and I'm doing you a favor too because right now we're going to struggle. So I don't know if that's the case, but with that being said, I would hope that they are giving Aaron Glenn a 3-year window, not next year he got to win or he's out.
But the big part, Rod, because there were trades, is you also got all that money off the books.
Yep, true.
So not only are you getting the picks coming back, you got rid of 2 really good players, but all that money is kind of off the books. But your point, I want to start off with what you just said. You're guessing on the 2 good players that are coming in a year from now. I don't know if they're at Georgia, if they're at LSU, if they're at Indiana. So you're hoping that the player's going to be there that you want. He's going to fit the scheme. That's really risky.
And he's going to come in as a rookie and ball out like Sauce did.
2-time All-Pro, not Pro Bowl.
I mean, that does not happen that often in the National Football League. I know in today's football, comparable to when I came in. When I came in, most guys who were even first-rounders and second-rounders, they were backups in the National Football League. They learn from veteran players. Well, veteran players are far and few between. I mean, every backup in the National Football League, for the most part, are young guys, first year, second year, maybe third year guys that's playing in the National Football League. So these young guys are coming in, playing right away, learning through headaches and hiccups, right? Learning how to play in the National Football League. But Sauce came in and balled out year 1. That is rare. So to think that you're going to find a Sauce Gardner in year 1 and he's going to ball out like that, and Quinnen Williams, who was so talented and has played well for them, finding those type of talents, yes, athletically, Quinnen Williams, maybe you will find somebody that athletic, that talented, but that can be disruptive week in and week out with Sauce. I mean, so I'm just hoping. I'm saying that you get rid of your 2 best players, you get some draft picks. They have to give Aaron Glenn the 3-year window.
I agree with that. There's no doubt we both agree on that. But let's talk about the 2 teams where these guys went to. We'll start with Indianapolis. They get Sauce Gardner. So if you're an Indy fan and you're sitting around as a season ticket holder, you're saying, wow, I got Jonathan Taylor. Yep. We got a really good team. And now we got a great cornerback for years to come. but you still got Daniel Jones. So those two picks that you gave up, Daniel Jones now has to work, because if he doesn't work, you're not going to go back to Anthony Richardson probably, and then you're going to not have 2 first-round picks to go get a quarterback. The guy who had the biggest week from week 8 to week 9 was Daniel Jones, because Chris Ballard and the new Irsay daughters basically said he's our guy going forward.
They definitely said that.
Yeah.
You give up 2 first-round picks to get Sauce Gardner. You stuck. You're stuck with your quarterback unless you just hit a home run with a 3rd-round quarterback or a 4th-round quarterback somewhere in the draft in the next couple years, right? Next 2 years, really next year, because you need to hit it. And when I look at Daniel Jones, and I looked at that game this past week when they played against the Steelers defense got after him.
Yeah,
made him very uncomfortable throughout that whole game, and he made some plays, but some of that old Daniel Jones came out in him. And my question is, they believe in that, or do they believe that's a hiccup in the season? And my question is, I like what I've seen with the Colts. I just don't know if I trust them with Danny Dimes being that guy, that main guy throughout, even though he has played outstanding football this year so far.
Yeah, we talked about it for the last couple of weeks that a lot of other teams could have went after Daniel Jones. They didn't. Just so to their credit, they got him. He's playing well. They're a playoff team, it looks like, and they bring in Sauce. So, funny story. Monday night, I'm on Sirius XM, Mad Dog Radio, and they're losing the Cowboys to Jacoby Brissett. And I'm watching the game develop, and in the box comes Stephen A. Smith with Jerry Jones. And I'm like, this is interesting. I go back with Stephen A. So Jerry's now really doing this wild trolling, circus stuff, has Stephen A. and media stuff, and they're getting beat. Jerry claimed after the game, because the media did a good job saying, you told Stephen A. you got a trade in place. Well, Stephen A. and Jerry talked about that before the game. They lost the game, and the media put Jerry in the scrum and said, you still going to make that trade? And Jerry said yes. He had the Quinnen Williams deal done.
Right.
He had the linebacker from the Bengals done.
Right.
I got to give Jerry credit. Jerry backed it up. Jerry didn't bail out and go, well, we lost. We're 3-5-1 now. I'm going to hold back on the trade and wait for the draft. He went through. What's your opinion on that move?
Listen, I think Quinnen Williams is a really good player. All right, he's very athletic. He's a big disruptor. He can stop the run and get to the quarterback also. I think Wilson's a solid linebacker. I mean, taking some of the assets that you got from the Micah Parsons trade and using it now? This early, I'm not sure. I just don't do you believe? And listen, the offense has played well for him so far. The defense has not. Now, why they have not played that well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure why the secondary has not, because Bland had a great year last year, right? Diggs last couple years had a really good year, had good years. So why they're not playing solid football on the back end, I'm not sure. Is it because they're not getting pressure on the front end, and that's why he brought the guys in who are playing on the front side of it, Quinnen Williams and Wilson? Maybe so. And if it is, and he believes that all you got to do is have a balance and they can get over that hump and get to the winning side of football games and not the losing side, then I'm okay with the pick. But getting rid of the pick so early from the Micah Parsons deal, this early, Quinnen Williams, like I said, I believe he's a really good talent. I believe he can be disruptive. Has he shown it consistently? No. When he does show it, though, he's one of the best in the league.
Well, I think it's interesting here because you lived it. This Jerry Jones move, I think, had a lot to do with time and his age. I watched Al Davis bring you in because Mr. Davis was getting older.
Yep. He
wanted to take one more shot. You were a huge piece in that, along with young players and veterans and other guys that came in. What is it like when you're an owner and you're in your 80s and you had success like Mr. Davis and Jerry Jones, and Jerry said, I'm sitting here in my 80s. I want to take another shot at the Super Bowl. I'm going to go make moves.
Especially with your offense playing the way they have, because they have lit it up so far this year. They really have. Defensively, not so much. So I can see where, I just remember seeing Al Davis on the Pro Bowl practice field back in the day when the Pro Bowl was at the end of the season, and me walking by him, not making any real eye contact, but saying, hey, I'm going to be a free agent. I kept on walking. And he called me the second week of free agency and asked me if I wanted to be a Raider. Hey, Rod, you want to be a Raider? And I'm like, yes, I do. So I'm kind of bringing me full circle. When I was 9 years old, I played for the Power Raiders. I'm 35 years old, I started playing for the Oakland Raiders. But what I think that shows is that they know, like, the older owners, they want to have that one last shot.
Absolutely.
They want to say, see, I know what I'm doing. I showed everybody I got a couple early, right? I got a couple early, but now later in my career, I can still pull the right strings and bring in the right players to put a good roster on the field.
When we come back on Laying the Wood, Rod's going to talk about the team he covers, the Baltimore Ravens. Now they're starting to roll again. Lamar is back. We'll dive into Buffalo beating Kansas City. What does that say about the future of the playoffs? And the Seattle Seahawks, a team that we've been covering since our first podcast together, they made an upgrade, and they look really good as we continue on Laying the Wood. Welcome back to Laying the Wood, Week 9 edition. As we look at the standings here, Rod, we mentioned the Colts here. Are you a believer of the New England Patriots? At 7-2, they're beating everybody. Drake May is now an MVP candidate. Mike Vrabel's done a really good job. It hasn't even gotten cold in New England. And I have to admit, they lost their opening game at home to the Raiders. They've been lights out since.
They have. The top 3 teams in the AFC, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure about. Out of the 3, so out of the Colts, New England, and the Broncos, it might be the Broncos I believe more in than anybody else because they bring a really good defense. They can get after the quarterback. They don't have to score a lot of points. They can, he can get out of the pocket, make some plays with the feet. Talking about Bo Nix, he can throw the ball down the field a little bit, and they can run the ball halfway decent. I believe in that a little bit. The Colts, I still have a question mark with Danny Dimes. I still want to see, can they beat a really good team in a critical moment in the season? It's going to come down to that at the end of this year. And then when I look at New England, I'm like, yeah, you beat the Raiders, the Raiders and the Steelers.
And Buffalo and Buffalo.
And then you beat Buffalo.
In
Buffalo. That was a good one. But Buffalo wasn't playing good football at that time. So I'm just curious, like, where they really fit and how long does that energy that Mike Vrabel has brought to New England last? Because he's given it to them so far, and they've played really good football. But do I believe in them playing the best teams? Like, nobody wants to see Kansas City get into postseason, and nobody wants to see the Ravens get into postseason. Right. Those 2 teams, they get into postseason, they're going to be very disruptive to all those teams that are in front of them right now.
Well, it's interesting. I don't think that New England can hold off Buffalo. I think New England's going to be a wild card team. I think Buffalo's going to win the division. Denver's got 40 sacks, 40. No other team in football has more than 28. They played the Raiders on Thursday night. I mean, I got to give them credit. They blew up the team and ate the Russell Wilson contract.
Yep.
At that time, I was very critical of that. I didn't realize they had that many edge rushers. I mean, they're getting after the football. The Raiders' offensive line, they're going to be losing sleep tonight before this game. I hope they put up a fight here.
I mean, listen.
But what have you seen with Denver? Because Bo Nix is winning these weird games. They're coming down to 18, 15 field goals. But that defense, it was Patrick Surtain who's hurt. But that defensive pass rush is helping out the secondary.
Listen, that pass rush, and it's multiple guys.
Yeah, it is multiple guys.
And listen, they have done a really good job of not giving offenses a bunch of time to set up in the pocket. And if they got to bring pressure, they bring man pressure, they bring zone pressures. They do a lot of different things that you love to see, because if you only run zeros, if you only are a single high and you're bringing a 5-man pressure, everybody knows it. It's just a lot of 3-beaters, a lot of 4-beaters. But when you start running different pressures with roll coverages, cover 2 and cover 3 and 6s, that gives quarterbacks who are still learning a little time to pause in the backfield, right? When they do pause, that's when they take the opportunity to get the pass rush, and that's what they've been doing. They've been showing a lot of different looks, been very creative back there, and then they're getting pressure on the quarterback on a consistent basis, week in and week out. 2
teams. We mentioned Buffalo, your former team, the Steelers. I think they're fine. The Chargers don't have Slater and Alt. What a shame Alt went out again.
I know.
So they have 2 bookend tackles who are probably all pros, let alone, Pro Bowlers, let alone all pros. They're great. I don't think they survived that, but they keep winning with their coach. Jacksonville got Jacoby Myers as Travis Hunter went down.
Yeah.
Brian Thomas led the league in drops. I think that was a very shrewd move. I like what the Raiders got in return, a 4th and a 6th. But Jacksonville could have stand pat. They're in the playoffs. They're the 7th seed, and they added Jacoby Myers.
Well, they needed it.
Yeah,
right.
They had to.
I mean, you needed it. Losing a two-way player. How long he's going to be out, really don't know. But you need somebody to take that spot, and then getting a guy who, like Myers, who can come in and play right away. He's a veteran guy. He's been under the lights. He's played under the lights. He showed up under the lights, and that's what you need. And so I think that was a really good. I was really good. I was with that pickup for them. I was like, oh, that's a really good pickup.
Yeah,
for those
it's a
guys.
shrewd move for Liam Cohen to get another weapon. Let's move to the NFC. The Eagles, we'll give them a break. They're 6-2. Baker is 6-2 here. Seattle made a move, and they bring in a wide receiver for depth there from New Orleans. I thought that was really smart. Seattle is leading the division over the Rams. Is it fair to say I think the Rams are better than Seattle, but Seattle's the 3 seed now. The Rams are the 5 heading into Week 9.
Yeah, I don't know if. I mean, I like the Rams, but Seattle's played really good football. Look, and Sam Darnold was in Minnesota. We all was like, is it a one-year wonder? He goes over there. He is balling out. I mean, the way he played last week, I mean, he put up a bunch of points in the first half against a really good football team. And so for me, I like Seattle over the Rams. And even though, hey, Carnell, Quinn, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, bro. I love him. I've been on Quentin Lake since he's been a baby. But I just like Seattle. I like the way they're playing. I know the defense and the secondary still has to come around a little bit. But I like just what Sam Darnold is doing consistently week in and week out, and the way he has reinvented himself the last 2 years has been amazing.
Niners have the easiest schedule in football. They better be careful here because Seattle and the Rams are ahead of them. And the Niners, if they didn't have the issue with Brock Purdy, tell our viewers what this turf toe is all about. You're a great track star and an NFL Hall of Famer. I talked to other people along the way who told me that turf toe is so brutal to come back from. Why is it taking Brock Purdy so long?
I'd never had turf toe, but to my guys who've had it, they're like, it's this little ligament on the big side of your foot, on the big toe, that when you bend it, this pain just shoots up your leg. Yeah. And it's hard for me to even imagine, but they said you can't get on your toes, you can't run, you got to walk flat-footed, you need that metal plate in your foot. It's one of those things that it's hard to come back from, and it's hard to stay off your feet. Yeah, they're in the walking boots and all that stuff, and they're doing the treatment. But for that thing to heal, for ligaments to heal, it takes time. It takes 6 to 8 weeks for a real ligament. I mean, say this thing, if you had that same ACL, like you had a strain or MCL strain, how long it takes. It's that same thing. It's in your toe, and that's what you run on. So it's, for me, man, I tell you what, to come back from it, you hope that he does, and he can come back this year. But luckily for them, they got Matt Jones. Matt Jones has played solid football for them.
One more quick one. How do the Packers lose at home to Carolina?
Man, I don't even.
They already have a tie. They already have a tie, and they lost to Carolina. I picked the Packers to win the NFC. My Super Bowl pick is Buffalo over Green Bay. Green Bay is still 5-2-1. Yeah, I do, but they lose their tight end. They lose their tight end for the year. So they're in a situation. I thought that they could make a trade. The one team I thought around trade deadline that needed to make a move was Green Bay, and they didn't. So I'm a little bit worried about my Packer pick.
When I watch Green Bay play, especially defensively, they play a lot of zone. They kind of keep everything in front of you. They don't make a lot of plays on the ball per se. Offensively, if they're not running the football consistently, their play passes really doesn't matter. Right, and I think that's the key thing. Is taking that pressure off of Love consistently, where he doesn't have to make all these big throws in games, where it can be a 5-yarder, 6-yarder, 7-yarder, 8-yarder. But defensively, I was a little disappointed. I thought I was going to see more out of him, even though they got Parsons there and he does some splash plays, they still play that soft zone and allow teams to kind of move the ball when they have to.
When we come back on Laying the Wood, we'll take a look at some of the games coming up for Week 9. We'll get some of Rod's predictions on that. And I'm going to ask Rod, is there any good football left on Sunday? With Sunday night football, Thursday night football, Monday night football.
It's every day, what, except Tuesday?
And the quality, you want to talk about the quality of football and coaching. Yeah. Don't miss that when we come back on Laying the Wood. Welcome back to our final segment of Laying the Wood, the Hall of Famer Rod Woodson. I'm JT. Need you to subscribe and like this. So take a moment while we're talking. Please subscribe and join us every week. We're going to get into the couple of games that Rod really likes here and wants to get into. I'm going to start with Patriots at Buccaneers. Patriots beat Buffalo in Buffalo. If they win in Tampa, this is going to gain my attention in a big way. I'm expecting Baker to get rolling again. He has an MVP vibe going with him. It's a big game, and Drake May is playing lights out too.
If they can win and beat the Bucs in Tampa, I'll have a little bit more belief that they might be for real, because Tampa's playing really good football. Yeah. Look, and I'm a Baker Mayfield fan, just for the fact I think he's gritty, he's tough, he's been through the ringer, and he's kind of like he's come out to the other side and playing really good football. And I think he fits the way the Tampa Bay Buccaneers play. And he fits it defensively, even though he's not a defensive player, but he fits that mindset. And for him to go out there week in and week out, play lights out football, playing some of his best football of his career this year for the Bucs, if they can go there and beat the Bucs there, much more belief in who the Pats are than maybe before this week.
Steelers are at the Chargers. We mentioned the Chargers without Slater and Alt. This, to me, it's not hard to play in L.A. It's not a hostile environment.
No, it's not.
Other teams take it over.
Steelers are going to take it over. The Steeler fans will be there.
Oh, my God. They're going to take it over like you saw in Dublin, and see it on the road. But a really important game here because it's the last time I think Aaron Rodgers will ever play the Chargers. They don't play often. And this is Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh. This is a really big game for the Chargers. If they can't beat the Steelers, then they're not going to go anywhere in the AFC playoffs. This feels like an early playoff game to me, Ron.
Did you see what the Steelers defense did to Indy last week? See the pressure that they got on Danny Dimes consistently through the whole game?
Herbert's better than Danny Dimes.
No. Yeah, he is way better at getting out of the pocket. But with that being said, he's going to have to get out of the pocket to make some plays down the field. He's not going to sit in the pocket. No. Watts ain't going to let him, right? Highsmith's not going to let him. They're not going to let him just sit there and do nothing. Then once he tries to throw it on a quick rhythm, they're really good at getting their hands up, the interior defensive linemen, and getting their hands up and batting balls down. So with that being said, I think it is a good barometer, but I think it's a great barometer for the Steelers to see where they fit. How can they play against a really good quarterback, a mobile quarterback, a quarterback that can sling it and throw all the throws that a quarterback needs to make in the National Football League? He can make it from the pocket, out of the pocket. He can do that. And I think a solid receiving core that they have to go up against.
This was my preseason NFC Championship game, the Eagles, Packers. I had it at Philadelphia, but this is at Lambeau. We just mentioned them losing at home to Carolina. Right. It's a really important game for the Packers. They already have a tie on their schedule, as I mentioned. The Eagles traveling there. We haven't touched much on Saquon. Saquon hasn't had. He did a lot of video games, a lot of commercials. He had the jump backwards.
Yeah, he's at the White House shaking hands and kissing babies, and he's not played the same way. Okay. But with that being said, we've all had the Eagles are falling, the Eagles have fallen, the Eagles have fallen, and they're still the number one team in their division. Yeah. They haven't played great football.
No, they haven't.
But they played well enough. And that's what you want. That's what great teams do. Great teams don't play. It's hard to play great football week in, week out, year after year. Who won the Super Bowl last year? They did. It's hard to come back and play that same way with that big old ring on your finger, right? Knowing that you got a Lombardi trophy in the stadium. You know that. You already did it. Doing it twice, doing it 2 years in a row, that's hard to do. They have played decent football well enough to be the number one team in their division, right? So, and they haven't played great. And they got some help this week. You get Alexander, right? You get a pass rush, you get Phillips as a pass rusher. So to me, and I think Alexander, and much love for him going to Baltimore and wanting to be with Lamar because they played together. I get that.
Okay.
But it wasn't a good fit because the Ravens are playing. They were playing more man at the beginning of the year, and Alexander's are more of a zone corner than me.
Okay.
We're like keeping everything in front of him. This is what Philly does. So if he's healthy, if he can like give him anything, and Phillips is going to give him something, right? He's going to give him something coming off the edges. I think it's a good fit, and they haven't even played great football yet. So I think if they can play decent football to the playoffs, they're going to get into the postseason. We know that. I believe they'll get into the postseason. But once they get into the postseason, then you can flip that switch and say, we need everybody. I like them. Okay. I think they're the most talented team in the NFC, just for the fact when you can get Barkley, who hasn't played great, he'll come back, he'll have some good games. Yeah. We know that. And the defense hasn't played great, and they're going to come back and have some solid rebound games.
Well, I don't know how anybody picks up the phone when Howie Roseman's calling at the trade deadline, because he's picking everyone's pocket.
Oh, absolutely.
He's picking everyone's pocket. Finally, my bad, I forgot the biggest topic of the week. This is why you watched. Didn't play in the NFL Hall of Famer. Dan Quinn, 38-7, has got Jaden Daniels in the game. Not 31-7, not 28-0. So I'm on the radio live at the time, and I just started my show. And I know if I was on an hour earlier, I would have been saying, get him out of the game, get him out of the game. I truly believe, Rod, that they're going to call this the Jaden Daniels rule. You have to get your start. You got to get Lamar out. He's never going to be down 38-7. You cannot do this again. I thought it was reckless. How do you leave him in the game at the 7-minute mark?
That really hurt. Like when he was in the game, I was surprised that he was still in the game. That's the first thing. I know as a coach, you don't think about injuries in that situation.
Right.
But with that being said, if you look at the players who've gotten injured on that field over the course of this, go back and look at it. Of the players who've gotten injured on that field,
Alex Smith,
Joe
Theismann,
I mean, it's been a bunch. It's been a bunch of guys on that field who's been injured. And is it the field? Is it? I mean, that injury for Jaden Daniels is just. I mean, that's one of those things that he's getting slung around. He puts his hand down to catch himself, dislocates his elbow. I mean, how often would that happen? It has to be in the right spot at the right moment. It could have been in a critical moment of the game. It could have been a closer game.
But I've never asked you this. I've never asked you this. Quarterbacks are sometimes the face of the franchise, but there have been great players like Lawrence Taylor, yourself, Reggie White. How come we never talk about taking the greatest defensive player out of the game? What happens?
Because offensive players are divas.
so no one ever said to Ray. No one said to Ray. No one said to you. No one said, "Look," and you didn't.
Oh, I wouldn't come out. I'm like, if I'm winning and they got to throw the football, you're not taking me out now. When they're going to throw the ball and I get a pick and put another guy in and get the opportunity to get the pick. No, I'm staying in. I'm going to finish this game. Our mindsets are a little bit different. And I think Jaden Daniels, I think he was comfortable being in there.
So you're up 42, you're up 42-7 in a game on a great team that's going to the playoffs. It's okay to leave you in the game and Ray Lewis in the game because
I want to stay in the game
because you think you're going to get.
I'm going to give me some more picks, man. I want some more opportunities to make plays. Right. They weren't making no plays on us the rest of the game. They got to throw the football so we get more sacks, we get more interceptions, you get more. You have an opportunity there as a defender to make plays. Most players who love the game want to stay in the game. All right, I would think Jaden Daniels wanted to be in the game. He wanted to be with his boys there. They were losing. I get it. I see the score. Yes, do coaches at times have to help the players from themselves? Yeah. Yes, they do. But with that being said, the old school mentality of me says, I'm going to stay in the game. I want to play with my boys. I started the game. I want to finish the game.
Last one for me. You were telling me before we started that the quality of coaching and the quality of playing in 2025 is down. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, if you look at, and I can't say the quality of coaching because there are younger players who are playing today than when I came in. When I came in, yes, I did start as a rookie, but it wasn't like that was an everyday thing. most of our second year, third year players, they were backups. They were learning from guys, Dwayne Woodruff's, right, in the Chili Bowl, and all those guys who were still there with the Steelers, learning behind those guys, Donnie Shell, learning behind those guys for a year and a half, 2 years, and then they got to play. Well, everybody who is a first, second, third round pick, they're all playing. So you got a lot of young players, or you got all these guys from basically could still be in college, because most of the guys are leaving college early.
Right.
They can still be in college, and they're playing in the National Football League. So yes, they're still learning how to play football at the highest level. They played ball their whole life, but to be your best, to be at your best, to be subconsciously your best when you get step on the field is that you have to do it over and over and over. Yes, we can say practice makes perfect, but if you never really get to go live in a game, how do you ever know what you're going to do?
Yeah, I'm dealing with that here in Vegas with the Raiders. There are a bunch of receivers who aren't on the field. They were drafted, and everyone's saying that, well, they're developing, but they're not playing. So you got to play to develop, you're saying.
You have to be, listen, we all say as a coach, the game speed. The game speed is in practice, but that is a certain degree of truth to that. But at the end of the day, how do I get better if I never get to play on game day in these live situations where these guys are they're trying to make money too, right?
Yeah.
The other teams are trying to make money. So how do you really take it to the next level? How do you keep learning? And you learn from your mistakes. Nobody's perfect. Things you do in our lives, we make mistakes and we learn from it and we move on. And then that's in the back of our head. That's the same thing as players. We're going to do something full speed. We might get beat. And I know when I first came into the league, I got beat quite a bit, but I kept learning from it and kept saying, oh, if I do this, they do this. If I do this, they do that. Okay, now I can combat that. Well, I think that's the same thing, but younger players are ingrained into the game earlier in their careers. Now they have to do it at a faster pace. They got to learn it at a faster pace. Can they still become professionals? Can they still become pros? And we always say, you want to play at your best when your best is required. And your best is required every single day, every time you step on the field. Young guys, they just forget that sometimes. We just do. I mean, heck, I remember backpedaling. James Lofton's right there. He runs by me. I'm still backpedaling. I go to the side, they throw the ball up in the air, touchdown. I come to the sideline, and my coach said, what are you doing? I'm like, I have no idea, coach. I don't know what I was thinking at that moment. And that's what young players go through at times, but you can learn from those things again. Okay, I got to arm length away, he gets on me, I got to turn it open. So those things you learn from, today's football is just all these younger guys are playing
early.
They're just playing earlier, and the coaches are younger. The coaches are younger, and I learned from all my older coaches. All my coaches were they were in their 50s. They're not 30s. Like, what are you still learning? You're still learning football. You're still learning drills at 30. Yeah. I mean, there's players are still playing at 30, 40 years old. So you're still learning as a coach. You're still learning how to administer what you want to see from your players consistently. So the coaches are younger, the players are younger, so the football is a little sloppier. It is. With that being said, if the coaches keep staying around, if they are allowed to stay as coaches and keep learning and growing, then they keep that with them, right, as they go through. And then the players who are getting a little older, and the guys who are blessed to play in the National Football League long enough, then they can be those mentors to the younger guys. The hardest thing is, when I came into the league, you were blessed to be younger and be on the active roster. Today, in today's game, you're really blessed to be an older player on an active roster, because it's rare, because they take up more cap space.
Yeah.
Right? So you don't get that same feel that, from older guys. You can learn from older guys. So when you do, as players in the National Football League, when they get on a team and they got some old heads, they got some OGs on there, man, I'm in their back pocket. I'm learning from those guys. What did you do if I did this? If I did this, what did you do here? If I did this, what did you do? Not just football stuff, but life. Because they're going to be in their late 30s, right? This guy's going to be in his early 20s. He's going to be a knucklehead. He's going to be a knucklehead like I was, because I was a knucklehead. But I learned from that.
The older players.
From the older players, and I was blessed to be able to play 17 years.
Rod Woodson, one of the all-time greats. Thanks for watching Laying the Wood. We'll see you back here next week.